Hello and welcome to the regular Sunday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight we'll be discussing Tamworth versus Spurs. We'll talk about the FA Cup draw, some transfer rumours, the North London derby. We've got a bit to do and we'll see how it all goes. So first, without further ado, say hello to my fellow co-host Ian. How are you, Ian?
Good evening, Adrian. Good evening, those of you in the chat. I know there's a couple more coming on to join us. Shortly, so
okay, yeah. Well, hopefully there'll be some going. We know these shows always they always clash. Absolutely. You never know what you're getting. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Tom. Tom.
Hello.
Hi, Tom. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let me get onto the banners. So, Ian, the lineup here. When you see the lineup, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts were let's talk about my thoughts as they were, and then my thoughts now, having seen the game. I knew because yesterday or the day before he'd said he was playing Kinski, so that was fine. I thought he might play Austin, but I talk about what transpired. I think a lot of it makes sense. Reguilón, Dragusin, Gray, Porro. I don't know that he could have done much else. You might have said he could have played Spence, but he's got to keep some players back for the NLD. More importantly, I think there was an expectation he might play Dragusin. Might play Dorrington. Play Dorrington, but I think again as the game panned out, I think that makes a lot of sense. Plus, as I said to you earlier backstage, that the story tonight is he's off to Aberdeen tomorrow on loan, presumably till the end of the season. That's a big move for him. And obviously the last thing they would want him to come in and have an injury. And I think the other thing with both Kinski and with Dragusin playing, when they put those big booming throws into the box, you actually need a bit of know-how and a little bit of experience to deal with them. And actually they were very little threat. One, because Dragusin was dominant in the air and wasn't getting bullied about like a young kid might have done. And secondly, this boy Kinski, the way he commands his penalty area and comes out and gets the ball. I mean, bloody hell. That was so impressive. Midfield, I'm okay with the midfield. Up front, again, I expected him to play Lancashire and give Lancashire a run. Werner, Moore, Johnson, touch lightweight, touch similar, touch little guys, no one to hold the ball up, no one with a physical presence. That did not work. So a lot of criticism of Ange, I think some of it justified. Up front, he got it, in my view, hopelessly wrong. And it was only when he changed it up and brought on the better quality players that we showed our class. More first half didn't really do much. But that 15 minutes in the second half, we were really starting to see what he can do. He had to come off, and I think it was a good move to take him off just because you have to protect the boy. Played an hour, first game for, I don't know, a couple of months or whatever. So, that was a good move. Werner shows he just really shouldn't be in the team if we've got anybody else. And Johnson really needs to up his game, or he needs to move out. Just before we go, I'll just say good evening, Ronnie, and good evening, Audio Artisan. So that's me. Said my piece, Adrian.
Tom, your take on this lineup when you see it? I think you're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry, apologies.
Right.
Yeah, it was a lot stronger than I was expecting him to go, but I was pleasantly pleased to see it be as strong as a lineup as he went with. I was kind of hoping when I saw it that Johnson might play through the middle rather than Werner. That's something I'd really like to kind of see. Wonder if Johnson just being more central and more involved in the game, like you're not expecting him to take on his man You're not expecting him to like grab the ball and run with it in the middle, are you? So, and he's shown that in the penalty area, he's a good finisher. I did kind of want to see Johnson playing centrally instead of Werner, but I mean, yeah, there's nothing more that can be said about Werner, is there? Unless we get someone in, Moani or whoever comes in, I think unfortunately Johnson's probably going to. Sorry, not Johnson. Werner's going to play a few more games, but I don't think he should really. It's I think that's dead in the water.
Yeah, I mean, my take on the lineup when I see it, I was quite happy when I see it. I thought this team should be more than good enough to beat Tamworth, and we expected an early goal glut and players to be rested, and none of this happened. Yeah, of course, a lot of the people, there were some people that did say, actually, I see them in other podcasts doing the watch-alongs, that they were saying like, oh, they would have wanted Lancashire to start, so I get that. Yeah, apart from that, I mean, I thought it's a strong lineup. I mean, and then we had to watch what wasn't a very very good performance by Spurs. It wasn't awful, but it was sort of more of a nothing performance. Hello there, Spud. All right, mate.
They sort of coasted through the game, really, didn't they? It was. It looked like I only saw like the highlights because obviously I was working, but from what I saw, it just looked like a team that just didn't. Or the player. I think the players were conscious of getting injured. That seemed pretty prevalent. I think obviously the Tamworth players were always going to go flying into tackles and stuff like that, try and ruffle them up and stuff like that. And I guess you have to give credit to the players that played, that they didn't let that affect them, and he could have easily have lost that in the last few minutes and stuff like that, but they didn't. They got over the line, and then fitness and better quality players made a difference in extra time. But I think whatever team we put out there today should have been enough to deal with Tamworth.
I think that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
These top, full-time professionals at a top club should have had more than enough to put this side away. I mean, in the Jose's football predictions, I had 7-0. I thought we'd absolutely romp it against that quality of opposition, whoever we played.
Yeah, I think the only thing, had it been at our stadium, I think 7-0, 100%. I think we would have absolutely demolished them, because it's a miles bigger pitch, more what we're used to. In that environment, I never thought it was going to be a complete walkover. It was just never going to happen, because everything was playing into Tamworth's hands with that. But to get to it, for it to go to extra time is kind of embarrassing. But as I've said in like some chats and stuff like that, like the most important thing is we're in the next round, and we forget about that and we move on, and we've got Villa next, and Villa is probably one of the harder games we could have got in the next round, playing Villa. But
there's a bottom line here, Tom, and that is Arsenal, to all intents and purposes, are out of the Carabao and they're out of the FA Cup. So that's 2 cups they're out of. So however bad tonight might have been, a little bit of perspective. We are in the next round. We go to Anfield a goal up. Our players are coming back. They've got another injury problem, and they lose Saka. And I know this isn't an Arsenal show, but they lose Saka, and the wheels come off.
Yeah.
And now they've lost Jesus, so that's another one that they're going to be whinging about.
And we've got 2 clean sheets on the spin.
we've got a goalkeeper.
And we've got a goalkeeper.
Wow.
And
I think
Arsenal have lost 2 on the spin, so that might augur well for the North London derby.
Arsenal haven't won a game in 3. They haven't won a game in 3. So they drew to Brighton, didn't they? Then they lost to Newcastle and have lost to United. So, I guess technically they drew to United, but so they're not in form. But their set pieces are always going to cause us problems. However, that being said, now with Kinski in goal, who looks like he's an absolute authoritarian of his box, he just completely dominates everything. And the thing is, he's been there short time and he's bossing the players around. He's only 20. That's not something I've seen Vicario particularly do. And he just seems so assured in his decision making. It just makes a huge difference. And the fact that he's so comfortable with the ball at his feet, he can play it long, he can play it short. It just gives us so many more options.
If only at 21, there's any chance he might get better, you know?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
He's a child. In goalkeeping terms, he's a child.
I mean, goalkeepers don't usually hit their prime until like late 20s, 27, 28. Absolutely. I mean, which is what Vicario is. And I mean, like, this is not me. I still think Vicario is a fantastic goalkeeper, and you know, I think he's great. He's just the one. He's not amazing with his distribution. It's okay. He's actually up there in the top, percentile for accurate passes for his distribution, Vicario. But that's because most of them go short. He doesn't seem to have that long ball, or not even the long ball. Actually, the passes that I've seen Kinski play, which are most impressive to me, are the ones where he plays just over the defenders to the midfield, like those cute little dinks over into, and that's where he sets up a lot of attacks and stuff. He has been a bit of not a revelation. That's probably going too much too soon, but it's just refreshing to see a keeper so dominant.
I disagree. I think he has been a revelation. So many people, we all do a lot of the same social media. There's so many people look to, excuse me, to just criticize, this after that, this about the club, that about the club, this signing, that signing. Someone has found a goalkeeper playing in the Czech Republic who is so tailor-made to play the game that we want a goalkeeper to play.
Yeah.
And he seems to be able to stop a shot. His ability to come out and catch the ball. I mean, how crucial is that against a team that's going to try and bully you physically?
Well, that's it.
His distribution. I mean, he plays like an outfield player. Dragusin gets injured, bring Austin on and put Kinski at centre half. Yeah. I mean, it's unreal. I just think, as I say, I just think there's so many things you can criticise, but someone has found this boy. And said, this is the player you want. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. And he can only get better. At 20, is he 21 or 22?
21. So
21.
Yeah,
he can only get better.
Yeah.
For the next 9 years, he will continue to improve. Phenomenal signing.
Yeah, he's not just 21 though. He's 21 with years of experience. Like that's the key. And okay, yeah, you could say that's in the Czech league or whatever, but he's also done it in Europa. He has done it in Champions League playoff games and stuff as well. And I think that's a testament to how well the data-led approach can work for us. And that's it. Like, actually, nowadays with goalkeepers, I know this sounds really ridiculous, but actually probably the last thing you're looking at with goalkeepers is their shot-stopping ability. Because actually you expect most goalkeepers to be good at, or at least good enough at stopping shots. Everything else around their game is almost more important now. Are they good with their feet? Are they good at commanding their area? Can they get how quickly can they start attacks? Like it's funny how football's kind of gone.
Ian, your take on the substitutes bench? I don't think we could have put anybody else on there unless we brought Yang Min Hook in, but I don't think he's match fit yet.
I expected him to be on, and I wasn't sure if he was going to. I wasn't sure if he was going to start. So I don't know what the score is, whether they just think he's not quite ready, which is fine, Yeah, I mean, I think it was... Look, we are still... People have got to remember, we are still really, really short of a number of players, We still don't have... We talked about Vicario. We don't have Romero. We don't have Van der Ven. We don't have Udogi. We don't have Bentancur. That's 5 players... We wouldn't have signed this goalkeeper, I don't think, at this point, if Vicario hadn't got the injury. So, every cloud has a silver lining in that sense. But that's 5 players. That's 5 players. Richarlison would have been on the bench. You're looking at 6. There's probably a couple I've forgotten. 6, 7 players that might have travelled, even if they didn't all start. That weren't there. I mean. Yeah, I mean, Dorrington's off, so you've got to say they must have another centre-half coming. They absolutely have to. I can't believe they're letting him go. You pulled up the list completely there, yeah. Richarlison at best will be on the bench. Bentancur will be out till next weekend or there or thereabouts. Yeah, but players coming back. I mean, Vicario's back in training. Odebear, I think, still out for a while. Davis can't be that far. I mean, I think the three of them, the three central defenders, I think they're talking about end of January. But you would think there must be another defender coming in, at least one defender, to allow Dorrington to go. They can't be working on the basis, it's okay if someone gets injured. Spence and Basuma can play there. So you would think something else is happening on that side.
Just on the Bentancur thing, the reason it's like the 5 or 6 days, but then you have to be assessed, because I've heard reports say he's out for 12 days. Well, they don't know that yet, because he's got to be assessed by the doctors and make the decision.
He was Adrian, and they said it's a concussion, so they are following the concussion protocol. Yeah,
this is it, and I think it's a minimum of 6 to start off with, and then you're assessed again. So we'll see how he is. I mean,
it's longer for him because this is his second concussion in about 4 months.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, so that's why it's the minimum of 2 weeks basically.
And with Ian on the injuries, he can be coy in these press conferences, Ange, when he's just not wandering off at weird tangents. I mean, he hasn't mentioned Davies at all. I can't remember last time, and I think Davies must be close to return.
You would think
if Dorrington's going out, as Ian alluded to, Dorrington going out. Well, we've got to have one of them centre backs coming back in.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think so, or you would hope that maybe it's because there's someone coming in. But
I hope
that's true. But that being said, Dorrington's not featured anyway. Even though we've had this injury crisis, he's not featured. He came on briefly against Southampton when we were 5-0 up or whatever it was, and so okay, him going out, like I can't foresee our injury problems getting any worse than what they are now. So he's clearly not going to get games. He needs to go and play football, and not at under 21 level either. He needs to go and play men's football, and that's going to be what's best for him. But
yeah, my take on subs, there isn't much more he could have put out there. There was some strong subs on here, like Nkulu, Son, Solanke.
I think it's a shame that we weren't or didn't come out the traps and get a few goals ahead, so we could have seen the likes of Dorrington or Lucy or Lancashire get some minutes. That would have been quite nice to see. But it is what it is. We had strong enough players on the bench to make a difference, as well as having strong enough players on the pitch as well.
Yeah. Let's get into what was a frustrating and painful watch. On 20 seconds, they broke on us. 20 seconds in the game, right down the left. And actually, Kinski, and Ian's his number one fan at the moment, right? Kinski then pushed the ball around. It wasn't hard for him to do that, but you thought, I hope this is not going to be a pattern to this game, like when it just happened. And then 9 minutes, Maddison shot. He went to the far corner, but it was the net, but it was cleared for a corner. 16 minutes, then Porro and Werner combined, and Maddison shoots over the bar. I mean, and we go on to 24 minutes because there isn't really a great deal to talk about the game, so we try and add something.
No, and I don't want to waffle about things.
No. In 24 minutes, we had 80% possession. Yeah. Then 32 minutes, Singh, the goalkeeper, he saved from Maddison again. And and that was basically it for the first half, Ian. I mean,
I've got two things to say about the first half in that sense. First of all, the only player that I thought really did themselves any justice was actually Maddison, who actually looked like making something happen. And their goalkeeper did really well. There was one in the second half as well, though, where he got a really strong hand to the ball and kept it out. But beyond that, I mean, it was very, very poor. Werner, Johnson, who's the other forward? Just shows how bad we were.
Mikey Moore.
Even Mikey Moore, I know you're his number one fan, Adrian, but even in that first half, he didn't really, the right back really had him well under control.
Yeah, it was rusty, wasn't he? And I'm glad he's got this game time under his belt, though, because it all helps, So
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So
Mikey Moore, the bits that I saw on the highlights, he looked like he'd filled out a little bit. He looked a bit more stocky than what he did before. He's always been quite slight, hasn't he? But he looks like he's filled out a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
know if he's been doing gym sessions and stuff like that. Possibly.
Well, I was going to say 17 he will, and working in the gym, lifting up elephants in the zoo, Tom.
Yeah. So we go in 0-0, an embarrassing situation because most fans would hope we'd be 2 or 3 up at half time, cruising, resting players, and it wasn't about our possession. We weren't awful. We were just lethargic and very slow in everything we did.
Yeah.
We're going to move straight in the 60th minute. Dragoson gets a yellow card. 64-minute Sing save from Werner with his legs. Again, why he can't find the net is just baffling.
Yeah, that was when Johnson played him through 1-on-1, wasn't it? That was awful.
It was. 66-minute, Werner has another shot blocked. And then in the 68th minute, Bergvall comes on for Sarr and Solanke came on for Mikey Moore. And then in the 71st minute, Johnson hit one into the side netting.
Should have done better.
Yeah. 76th minute, Porro gets a yellow card. And by the 80th minute, we've had 84% possession and done virtually nothing with it. 91 minutes, Son comes on for Werner, Kulu comes on for Maddison, and Spence came on for Dragoson. And then
people complain about Ange. All those substitutes worked.
They did.
You know, you criticise Ange, and sometimes he deserves it, but all of his subs worked today.
And would you know it, on the 103rd minute, it's 0-1 Spurs. Solanke's shot deflected in. I should imagine there was an enormous sigh of relief among the Spurs community when that went in. It's the sort of goal you sort of want, because then you start to believe, well, if we get a goal like that, we must win this game, you know? What did you make of the goal, Ian?
No, I was going to say, the thing for me with that goal, there was nothing special about that goal. It was a dead ball, wasn't it? That was just quickly taken down the wing, ball across in. And it's like, how simple and easy was. And I guess I know Tamworth were probably absolutely blowing out their backsides by them, but we didn't have to do anything special to score that goal. And it's just it just shows the lack of quality that we have in some of our players, that it was so simple, nothing special about it in any way, shape or form. It wasn't even a quick free kick, to be honest with you. Johnson was just in acres of space, and Porro played him in and a ball across, and then their defender, hits it into his own goal. It's just, I think that was the most frustrating thing about it, is that how easy was that? What we really lacked was just a player who would just be like, right, give me the ball, I'm just going to do something, and it'd be done. A player who could have just run at them with the ball and caused a bit of chaos would have made that game 12 times easier than it was. And it's one thing I lacked.
Tom, I don't know how easy that pitch was. I've not played on I played in artificial pitches, but when I was younger than you, I haven't played any football for over 40 years. But I think that that pitch was quite difficult. I got the feeling sometimes it felt like I had a tennis ball bounce. The players, to me, looked like they were struggling to get the ball under control quickly.
I think it's difficult because at Spurs, they have a big indoor pitch, don't they? Which is a 4-11, and there's no way that's real grass, is it? So that's artificial as well. So I think so much is said about the pitch and stuff, but as Archie Gray said in his interview afterwards, it's a pitch that they've all played on at some point in their life.
They trained on that pitch at the hospital. They trained on it for this game.
But it's just if anything, I'll be like, well, actually, that's going to be flatter than anything, an artificial pitch like that. So you're not going to get any weird bobbles or bounces or anything like that.
No.
It's just, I don't know how much to. I mean, when I was playing Saturday, Sunday league and stuff, we every now and again played on a AstroTurf pitch, and the only thing I hated about the AstroTurf pitch was slide tackling and stuff like that. Other than that, compared to what we was playing on the park and stuff like that, it was all.
Well, I thought during the first half, no one wanted to score because they didn't want to do a knee slide. You know what I mean? On that AstroTurf. Well, that was the first goal in 101 minutes. 6 minutes later, Son assisted Kula in the penalty area, and didn't he take that goal well, actually, for 2-0?
It was a quality goal. real quality goal. And I mean, Son, yeah, that is what you get when you bring on a top quality player. And I know I've been critical of Son, wondering if his best days are behind him. But he came on and he was determined, and he really looked like, you know, he had the bit between his teeth to get the job done. Took on the defender, sent the ball into Kulusevski, and that's where class started to count. You know, at that point, that's where class counted, and Kulusevski's finish was absolutely sublime, and that really was pretty well game over, I guess, at that point.
Yeah. Tom, you watched the highlights. Your take on the second goal?
I think my internet's been a bit dodgy, so I might be a bit patchy here. But
no, you're fine.
Yeah, no. So yeah, again, I've said all season, like, although Son's obviously not the player he once was, he's a moments player, so he can produce something out of nothing.
Yeah,
and he proved that today.
Yeah, and 11 minutes later, it's 0-3. Johnson, he was composed to control the ball and just place that in the bottom left corner. I mean, like, of the corner of the net. I mean, your take on that third goal, Ian?
Yeah, well, I mean, funnily enough, the one thing that it made me think was it wasn't dissimilar to the chance that Porro threw up on Wednesday night against Liverpool, and just a little bit more composure. Who knows how that game would have finished if that goal had got in? But yeah, he took it well. He did take it well. It was who was it who dispossessed the central defender? Was it Solanke? Again, a fresher player. You know, they're part-time players, but you know, they're professionals, but they're part-time. Tired minds, tired bodies create tired minds, create errors. And the boy got caught in possession, and then again, it was a class finish, bang into the corner. 3-0 flattered us, to be honest. But hey, I am not complaining. Just, it was a relief to get that done, because my heart rate was at like 117 or whatever at one point, and I'm like, how can this be happening? You know, it's not just going out the cup that's bad, it's the prospect of going out the cup to a club like Tamworth, where it's total humiliation. And you know, for you people in North London who actually have to face Arsenal supporters and stuff, but it would still be bad enough, some of my golf mates and what have you. So yeah, it was, in the end, it was job done. You know, big congratulations to Tamworth. Did brilliantly well.
Yeah, well done to Tamworth. Definitely well done.
Give them a lot of credit. Yeah,
Johnson's really showing
we respected them as well. We respected them properly.
Johnson's really proven he's a finisher now. I mean, to me, I've warmed to him. You know,
he's a finisher, but he doesn't do enough. And there is a reality that. There is an absolute reality that you know, this inability to take on his man. You know, when you think the contrast with the left side, where Moore was doing it, you know, regularly, Sonny was doing it in order, you know, we've set up Decky, and he has seemingly no ability whatsoever. No ability whatsoever to take on his man.
Yeah, he was coming back against the Liverpool game when we knocked them out, and he was coming back against them to help out. I just wonder in some of these league games where Ange just tells them to stay out wide because you're keeping defenders occupied, and then it's looking like you don't help out. But we don't really know. We haven't got that transparency. I mean, when you watch them from the ground and you're in there, you see Werner. They're on the white lines virtually. They're on the white lines wide, and the opposing when they're defending, they've got to look, you've got to keep an eye on these two guys. I mean, but if they get a quick break and Johnson's up there, I get it. I think this is tactical, but I mean, of course, I could be wrong. He might not just like tracking back, you know.
No, well,
even Werner comes back now and again against Liverpool and that. Right, so that was it. The actual couple of stats on the game. I mean, like Tamworth only had 2 shots on target. There was the one where Kinski saved from virtually a point blank shot about 4 foot away, or whatever it was.
I had my eyes shut, Adrian.
Okay.
At Tamworth away in the cup, and at that moment, I've actually shut my eyes because I don't dare watch what I think is about to happen.
All right.
Because there was no way back from that. That was the 90th
No.
minute plus whatever.
I mean, we had quite a few shots, but we had 7 on target. And at the end of the game, we had 77% possession. But we should have put them, I mean, away in the first half. Everything, we've been talking about slow build-ups against Premier League teams, as if it's as if they want to create the perfect goal all the time, and I thought, well, we'll go through some of the players. I don't know if Tom's internet's gone down for good.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, can I pick up before you move on to that?
Of course.
Can I move on? Because I've actually put that up. Maybe BJ and Solanke need to be played like Owen and Heskey. We've actually, I don't know if on this, well, I think we've certainly discussed it, because you look at the squad and you wonder whether we should play, at 3-5-2. And Solanke, where that would leave Son, I don't know. But if you had Solanke and BJ or Solanke and Son, Solanke playing as a target man. And I think a lot of people think that when Johnson was at Forest, he was much more of an old-fashioned inside forward than an outside right. And there was certainly a lot of people. He's a good finisher. I mean, the point about Johnson is, whatever your criticisms of him, and we've all got a number, he is a more than decent finisher. So, maybe the system doesn't play that well to his strengths. And that's really with Ange, albeit he has shown some tactical variety over the last few weeks. He certainly did against Liverpool, certainly did against Man City and what have you. And it might be, Arsenal. He goes in again with a little bit more variety. So, whether he goes a sort of 4-2-3-1 or something like that, which will give him. Hi, Tom. Welcome back. We'll see. But I know exactly what you mean. And whether we're playing to Johnson's strengths is another matter. Tom, I think we've discussed just while you were off there. I put that comment up on the screen from Audio Artisan about obviously the system requires that the two outside players play as I'll use the inverted commas wingers, whereas I think what Audio's saying, if you played BJ off, you probably wouldn't be able to fit Son into that system. But I'm saying you could play Solanke and then BJ or Sonny off the main forward in a 4-3-2 or something like that.
I think over the last few weeks, months, we have definitely seen this system evolving, right?
Yeah.
Fullbacks aren't inverting anywhere near as much as what they will on occasions, but they're not doing it as much as they used to. You're definitely getting a midfielder sitting deeper as a more of a number 6 than you were. And I think although the wingers are staying wide, you are definitely seeing the fullbacks also staying wider and pushing higher for more kind of overlapping. Part of me wonders if part of the appeal or why they really want to get Kolo Muani in is because Kolo Muani, although he can play as a striker, he's always played more as a sort of like a inside forward, like more just like a winger, but not very wide. And whether or not actually, if you actually had Solanke and then Muani and Johnson quite narrow and tight to Solanke running off of him and stuff like that, and then you keep your fullbacks a bit wider to facilitate that, then that might be something that's there. I mean, like I said today, when I saw the team, I was really hoping that Johnson would be the one playing through the middle. He's clearly a very good finisher. I mean, the way he took his goal today, it's a solid finish, and I just wonder if he's just got that sort of bit of a box in a box is probably not quite the right definition for him, but he seems to be able to find the net, and he can do it left foot, right foot, and he's not a small guy either. So you hope he could win his fair share of headers. I do wonder if we had better wingers than him, because at the moment we're not very. That's probably one of our weakest areas in terms of like our upper echelon quality. Whether or not you would actually then see him more inside than out on the wing.
I mean, you can see. I know a lot of criticism of today, but you can start to see the project coming together, in the sense that Porro not bombing forward in the way that he had and not getting caught, and I think that's helping him, and it's obviously helping Dragusin and Gray, who aren't being exposed, because I'm sure Ange is, people think Ange is stupid. He's not stupid, and the one thing that he's clearly doing is making sure that the whole back four is protected. But I think seeing the goalkeeper coming in as I say, a real revelation for me. The development of Archie Gray has been absolutely fantastic. The rehabilitation of Jed Spence is, again, I mean, that's almost like a new signing, because we thought for 18 months he was on his way out, and he's another one that came on and didn't let anybody down. Bergvall is got a real exponential improvement in his game. Every time he comes on now, he plays better than he did the last time, and his ability to move the ball through and between the lines, we haven't had that. And I've said on the streams on this show how disappointed I am that I think the midfield players are all too much of a muchness, and that's where some of the weakness is. And I think that I'm looking at a midfield going forward of depends on the system on where he plays Kulusevski, who to my mind has to play. But you look at something like Sarr, Gray and Bergvall, the way they can drive and bring the ball forward and put pressure on the opposition. I just think there's so much that's good at the moment. There's obviously a lot of work to be done, but this is a rebuild. This is a project. It is going to take a little time. But I just see so many bits coming together. I mean, I agree. I think if we could get Moani, I don't know what the situation is. The Italian press saying, Juve have got him. If Juve had got him, he'd have been there by now. He'd have signed. He'd have been into his flat in Turin and, eating lasagna as we speak. But he's not.
They have the advantage. They can offer Champions League football, but we can offer more money if we choose to, right? Because they're not exactly... Well, they haven't got buckets of money like we've got to spend. So this deal is still on, and our recruitment team would have pulled out if it was off. So we'd have heard about it.
No, absolutely. I think he's perfect. I'm picking up on the comments. Let you guys obviously comment. Chinwag, I don't think I know you. So Chinwag Spurs, good evening. I don't know where you are in the world. You can let us know. We actually did discuss this earlier, Chin, in the sense that Moore hasn't played he's had a virus or an infection or whatever he's had, a medical issue anyway. He's been off. He's been out of the game for a couple of months. So I suspect there was no possibility that he would play more than an hour. I mean, the irony is he was probably just coming onto his game when he was taken off, but he may have a role to play in the North London derby as well. So, this has been a matter. No, it's okay. He just said, sorry, just got here. No, that's okay. You don't have to bring a letter from your mother to explain why you're late, my friend. It's a voluntary YouTube show. But seriously, that's why Moore would have gone off. I suspect that was always in the plan. He's 17. They need to, nurture him very carefully. And your comment there, the keeper has been fantastic. He's been a revelation, an absolute revelation. But as I've said, and I'm going to keep saying it, everybody wanted a painful rebuild until it started to hurt. There's still more pain to come. Could have been really painful today. We're not. We're in the cup. We're in the cup fourth round. We'll no doubt talk about that later. Players are coming back from injury. Some of the young players that we've got are improving all the time. I just think there's a lot to be optimistic about, an awful lot.
I actually believe that one or two positional changes could transform us. If we get Moani, that will help on the right. Yeah. We also got Yang Min Hook and Odegaard to come back. Now, you imagine you've got Kulu playing the joint 10 or 8 hybrid 10 with Maddison as a 10, and him feeding them wingers. I mean, like, it could be devastating for our opponents, and we're soon going to have a lot of choice of wingers to change. I mean, we all know that Werner's. I think Ange experimented today, and he got it wrong up top, like you said, Ian. And I think he wanted to see if he could get something out of Werner through the middle, and it just didn't happen. And he gave him enough time before he took him off anyway. Like, you know what I mean? So, so
I think
that went
Werner
wrong.
again. With Werner again, he had plenty of chances to score. So again, it's the age-old classic with Werner that I've said for months now. He had
2 good shots, and I forgot to mention the header, which was going in the far end, but their defender cleared it off the line.
Yeah.
So he had three good chances today to score. Right?
Yeah, and that's it. Like everything about Werner is really good up until the moment he has to physically kick a ball. It's just he gets into positions, he makes good runs. He's always teetering on the verge of offside. Yeah. And to be honest, the one-on-one that he missed after Johnson fed him through, if there was VAR, I reckon that would have been brought back for offside. But there wasn't. So, but he just it's so infuriating because you just feel like there could be a player there. But if this was if Mikey Moore was putting in the performances that Werner was putting in, you'd go, it's great. He's getting himself the opportunities. He's only young. He's going to improve. But Werner's 28 years old and not even our player. Why are we persisting with him when he's clearly not working? Like, it's just. But again, Mawani. My one thing with Mawani is I think he's a great player. He's obviously hasn't had the best time at PSG, but he's a player who likes to run in behind. He's also a player who likes to pick up the ball and run with it, which is very different to and he's not like the most silkiest. He's a bit more like, just like charges through everyone with his strength. He does score a lot of headers as well, which is another interesting thing with Mawani. But the one thing that just with Mawani is there's so much noise about him, and all of our signings that we've kind of had under Lange have not
under the
had
radar.
A lot of noise. And I just wonder if there's all this noise about him is kind of masking over what the business we're actually doing. I don't know.
We'll come to the transfers after. Like, I just want
to interrupt. Jose,
even Jose. Yeah, Jose. Yeah.
I like doing that.
Right. So, Tom, staying with you.
Gibson brothers for Couva,
Right.
Anyway,
I think he wants him as his godson.
I
think Ian wants him as his godson. Right.
So we'll go through the team.
Anyway. I think there were some good performances out there, which because it was such a frustrating and painful watch, takes the sort of any if there is any positives to take from it. But what's your take on Kinski, Tom?
I love him. I think that's all I can say, really. Everything I've seen from him so far, he's just so assured in everything he's doing. And like even against Liverpool, when, he had that ball come back to him and he sort of ended up kicking it up in the air and then catching it and stuff. And if that was Lloris or someone like that in years gone by, oh God, like the fear, the panic would have been unreal. But the reason why I'm not panicking is because he doesn't look like he's panicking. And if I'm feeling that as a fan watching, that must be so reassuring as a player on the pitch playing with him, that he just looks calm, composed, and he's been there a week and he's bossing people around, telling them where to go, like controlling his defense and commanding his area. And like I said, like the shot stopping is the least of my concerns with a goalkeeper, and clearly with like most teams now, it's the least of their concerns when it comes to that, because that's something that should be just a standard with every goalkeeper. The fact that he can use both feet, he has little dink passes, he has the long ball, he has a short pass, and I said maybe a revelation is probably too much too soon for him, but he's definitely, and maybe we're feeling more positive about him because we've had to deal with Foster for the last few weeks. Maybe if Vicario was fit and playing and then he come in, we'd be a bit like, oh, this is different, this is new. But I think and I hope that Vicario is going to have to work very hard to get his place back in a team.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
question for you both.
Go on.
Adrian, I'll start with you. The North London derby is Wednesday. Vicario and Kinski are both fit. Who are you picking?
Kinski.
3 out of 3. There's your point. I know it's not.
Britain's got talent. There's your answer.
Yeah.
3 out of 3 going for Kinski.
To come in a semi-final of a League Cup, and it was a bold move by Ange to put him in there anyway, because if it had gone wrong, you imagine the flack Ange would get. Ian, these guys, their performances.
I thought they both did fine. I mean, more than fine. As I say, there was some iffies out there, but I don't have a particular problem. And we kept a clean sheet. I don't have any problem with any of the back five at all. I think it was going forward that I thought we really struggled. Lack of creativity in midfield. Madison, although Biss did well, but the 2 fullbacks were absolutely fine within the levels of their ability.
I thought they did fine as well. I mean, I don't know if Reguilon will get a reprieve or not. I mean, he can sign for clubs now in this window, can't he? Because he's in his last whatever. So, and I don't think Ange really wants him long term. He's just there because we got injuries.
He's been at Brentford, he's been at Man United, and they don't want him. So he's got to find a gig somewhere. Yeah. I mean, I know who I want to come in, and that's the boy Mitchell from Crystal Palace. I've always rated him.
Tyrek Mitchell, we'll talk about him later. Tom, your take on I mean, the Reguilon's fan or going, because I know you didn't watch the whole game. So
I didn't watch the whole game. I put the first sort of 5 minutes on. Well, what I thought was going to be the 15th or 20th minute, but the delayed start meant it was first sort of 5 minutes. I put that on whilst I was just having a sandwich at work, and I must admit, Porro gave me like the biggest heart attack, and I thought, oh god, he's not going to have one of these games when the guy who worked him, Zara, ran past him in the first 10 seconds. I was just like, god, Porro going to be getting caught out here left, right, and centre today. But I thought they were fine. I thought they did well, and I do wonder now with Reguilon has played a few games and he's not done anything that's made me go, oh, gosh, we can't keep playing him. I wonder if we just put off signing a left back until the summer now. And then just kind of get a centre back that can help fill in and just trust Reguilon and Spence and stuff to keep covering those positions. I mean, I know I've said in several groups, I mean, it's going back onto transfers, but like Ko Itakura, I just feel like he's a player that we should really be looking at as a good rounded utility guy. But should we be looking for utility guys? That's the other thing, isn't it? We should be looking for starting 11 players if we really want to push forward.
I'm going to theorise about centre backs when we get later on in the show. Ian, these two, I thought they did well. These two, I thought they both. I'm pleased for Dragusin to play much better than he has done recently. I know it's only against Tamworth though.
I just think this kid is special. Thought he was special when I first saw him at Tynecastle playing at centre half and going, what the heck, this kid? Because not only was he winning it on the ground, in the air, which you would need a centre half to do, but he was winning his ground duels and bringing the ball into midfield, and he continues to impress. I mean, considering that's not his position. And Dragusin, I'm not his biggest fan. I think he's helped because significantly by the fact he's got someone who can actually play at the back with the ball at his feet. I think that makes a lot of difference to Dragusin. Plus, in a game like that, you want a no-nonsense, I could use an expression, I don't know if it's more of a Scottish expression, I don't know, brick shithouse of a defender that's just prepared to get stuck in. And you saw, Tom, you wouldn't have seen it, but people watching on the chat who watched the game, there was a few, wrestling matches and what have you, and he wasn't prepared to be bullied by anybody. And I thought he did really well. He probably got bullied less than Romero or Van der Ven might have done in a game like that. So he did well. I thought they both did well.
Tom,
see today.
Yeah, Tom, Gray's been a sort of a bonus because if it wasn't for the injury crisis, he would have probably been drip fed into this team. And now he's made about 22 appearances. And I know I'm roughly right around that figure. I mean, and I think a lot of fans will be surprised that he's done that. He's played in 3 different positions, not in his natural position. And he just looks perfect.
For me, I just laugh at all the people who, after him playing 2 games at right back, were like, "Well, we're going to kill this kid. He's not good enough. Like, why are we playing him out of position?" he's 18 years old, and even in those games he played right back, he weren't bad. Like, okay, he got burnt a little bit in, I think it was a Europa League game. He was getting skinned a little bit in the first half, and then he settled in, and Ange kept him there, trusted him, and fine. I think playing in all these positions, especially if he's going to become a defensive midfielder, what better way to learn how to protect your defence than actually learning how a defence wants to be protected by playing there? I think he's going to be. I mean, if you want any idea of how good Archie Gray is probably going to be, I just keep rewatching that video of him against Liverpool, getting that ball, taking on 2 or 3 men, and then playing a perfect pass with the outside of his foot to Ezekiel. Where I was sitting in the stadium, you just saw I was literally at a perfect angle to see that ball just curling around the defender. I mean, it was great, and that just shows what he can do. And it's with a centre back injury crisis, and we've not really particularly spoke about it. I know we have, but like, at not one point have I gone, God, we need them back because Gray is really struggling. Like, I'm actually at a point now where I'm like, I'd actually quite like to see Gray play next to Van der Ven. Like, even maybe more so than Van der Ven and Romero next to each other. Like, he's good on the ball. And
I have said on streams before that don't anyone be shocked if he develops into a centre half. Don't be shocked. I'm not saying he will, because I think he's going to be one of these really versatile quality players. But don't be surprised if he develops into a ball-playing centre half.
I also think that
evening, Peter.
Fans, evening, Peter. Most of us fans who'd seen Gray in the Championship, bossing the midfield against Chelsea, seen him playing games, because there's been a lot of noise about this kid before he came to us. And I don't think it's a surprise to us that he was going to make the grade in this team before Bergvall was, because he come from the Championship. And I just think that's a good grounding, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was going to be good. Like, and I know 1 or 2 Leeds fans, weirdly, and they were like, yeah, he's special. You're going to love him. And I was like, is he that good? And it's like, only when he's playing for your team do you realise how. I mean, if he can keep, and I'm going to say this and knowing what the answer is going to be, if he can keep himself level and grounded and not get swayed by the media and all of this stuff, and I know he's not going to do that, because just looking at his interview today after the game, he's just such a good level head on him. I just think, personally, I just see future England captain all over him. Let alone, I would actually love to see him as future Spurs captain, to be honest with you. Although that may be some way off with his age, but
I'll go further. I see him as a future England captain, but of course, he may elect to play for Scotland.
Ian, your take on these 3, their performances?
Yeah, I thought Biss did well. Playing in that number 6 role. He's so frustratingly inconsistent. But yeah, I thought he did all right. Sarr, not enough for me. And Maddison did okay. Could have had a couple of goals. Maddison did okay, but I still think we need more from our midfield. And I feel that we've needed more from our midfield and more from our front players for a little while. To be honest, but it was okay. But it was much, much better when we made the changes.
Yeah. For me, Sarr just loses the possession far too often. I like him. And I, like I said, in other streams and stuff, I think he'll score a lot of goals. He's a bit, not headless chicken. That's too harsh, but he's a lot of huff and puff, and the technical side is just not really there at this present moment in time. He just loses the ball quite often, and he always seems to lose it in not great places. The one good thing about Sarr is once he's lost it, he'll work his absolute knackers off to go and get it back. So you can kind of allow it a little bit. But in a game against Tamworth, we didn't need runners. We didn't need physical specimens in the middle. We needed technical players that were going to be able to pick open a lock and to make a pass and stuff like that. And I think that's probably why Sarr it didn't look particularly great from the bits that I've seen and stuff like that. It's not a game that I would have really played him in. Bergvall would have been all day for me, but again, maybe Bergvall's being saved for Wednesday.
I've been highly critical of Basuma. I actually thought was our best player today. That's just my opinion, though. I still think he's the player most under threat.
Yeah, Adrian, that's the most frustrating thing about Basuma.
Yeah.
One week he is arguably one of the best midfielders you've seen play, and then the next week he's absolute dog doo-doo and doesn't look like he can be bothered. And I think that's the most frustrating thing about him for me. I'd rather he just, that's why we've always loved our Scott Parkers and players like that, right? Always 7, 8 out of 10, never anything less, never anything more. But when you've got a midfielder, that's what you want. You want your 7, 8 out of 10s every single week. You don't want someone who's going to be a 10 one week and then a 2 the next week playing in midfield. You can deal with that if it's a winger, because actually that 10 is going to win you a game. But for Basuma playing as a defensive midfielder or a number 8, being a 10 out of 10 in a game, that's not necessarily going to win your team the game in the position that you're playing. And that's the most frustrating thing.
Sometimes he holds on the ball a bit too long for me, and then he'll wander over at wing positions. I mean, like, if you've got an area of the pitch as a midfielder, you should be looking at. And then I've seen people come charging for our midfield because our midfielders have gone wandering left or right. I mean, like, and
Maddison is guilty of that as well. Maddison's always on the left wing. If he wants to be on the left wing so much, play him as a winger. And like he will actually take on a man. Like we've seen him like skill people up. He's not fast, but he will skill people up, and he can use his left foot and his right foot. If he wants to do that so much, play him on the bloody left wing and put Kulu in the middle. Like I'd actually be quite happy to see Maddison play on the wing. So I think he's definitely got the technical ability to do that. He has played on the wing previously, and all he seems to do is spend all of his time on the wing anyway when he should be playing in midfield. Leaves us with a massive hole.
I'm not convinced Maddison's good enough.
Sorry, Ian.
I'm not convinced that Maddison is good enough.
Yeah, again, we're going to get that, aren't we? Because it's what's frustrating us fans is what Tom's alluded to, inconsistency. I mean, even with Maddison, but at least Maddison, if we're getting rid of one of them first in the summer, to me it's Basuma. We're keeping Sarr. He's going nowhere, right? He's on a long contract. But Maddison does give you something different. He can control the game and everything else. But also, you've got to have a front three with a bit of movement in them and moving about.
Yeah.
Doing a bit of the slippery hill to lose their markers, roll their defenders, run off them. I mean, and we see it all too often at the stadium. I see it when Romero's got the ball and people say he's slow on the ball. At times, he is guilty of being dwelling on the ball. But at times you look up, you're in the stand, you see in the overall game pattern, there's no runners. Or Son will make a run, or Solanke make a run, and no one will ping the ball. No one pings it and takes a chance. So.
Well, one thing that we were talking about the game before we lose the point. The other thing about that's changed is that the ball's going longer a lot more. It certainly did against Liverpool, and it's doing it. And it did it today. They weren't messing about with the ball at all.
Let's move on.
But I think that's the mixing up of the game. That's why I said this is Ange Postecoglou's system evolving and adapting. And the one thing that I've come to realise with Ange and his system and how he's playing with us at the moment is that when he first come in, it was all or nothing. It was you have to do it like this all the time. This is the end goal. This is how we have to play all the time. He's doing. Like, there's no point me drip feeding stuff to you. Okay, we've tackled that. Let's master this. No, we're going to go into how we want to play all the time straight away, and then we can kind of reel things back. It's better to start up here and bring it back a little bit than to start down here and try and keep creeping it up. So that's clearly what Ange has done, and that's why we're seeing now the fullbacks are inverted all the time. They're picking their moments. That's clearly the way he wants to do it. But he was first of all, okay, this is different. We're going to start with being inverted all the time. Now we're regressing it to try and improve it, if that makes sense. Chin said it like he disagrees. Maddison's one of our best players. Like I do think he is one of our best players. Just not all the time. If he could be as good as he can be, not even all the time, but like 2/3 of the time, then we've got one of the best sort of attacking midfielders in the world, let alone the Premier League in Maddison. He has that ability to be that good. It's just a bit inconsistent. But I have to agree, when Maddison was at Leicester, he had players like Jamie Vardy running in behind and like that. So, he had those runners to be able to hit. And also teams were generally playing a bit higher up the pitch. Leicester were playing a bit deeper. So he had that more options to be able to kind of like pick out and stuff like that. Whereas Johnson, my biggest criticism of Johnson is that he's just so static all the time. Like he's not really ever making runs in behind and stuff. And again, even Mikey Moore, like Moore's not a player who's going to run in behind. He's a player who wants the ball at his feet. So trying to pick passes out there is difficult. But that's why I'd actually quite like to see Maddison like have a go on the wing. Like he drifts over there all the time anyway. He's got the skill to take on a man. But then if he's over there, we're not losing someone from the midfield, which is why we sometimes get hit on transitions. I mean, that was the biggest reason why Liverpool stuffed us 6-3 when they played us, is because we had no midfield, and that's because Maddison was mostly playing left wing.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll always have different opinions.
Of course.
It's actually Maddison's passing that I've been so disappointed with, that he doesn't seem to take any risks with his passing at all. 30 yards from goal. I'm all for, I'm all for risk and reward football, but I don't like to see too many risks taken in your final third. I don't mind taking risks in the other opposition's final third, and we don't seem to do that enough. Maddison, in particular, doesn't seem willing to do that.
Yeah, we missed a number 9 today till Solanke came on. And like, you need that, even if the number 9 can pivot in the centre and lay balls off to wingers either side of him and all that. We just didn't have that. I mean, you've seen it so many times with teams that haven't played with a number 9. When Chelsea couldn't have a number 9, they had loads of approach play and like just nothing in the middle of the penalty area to aim at. And I've seen it on so many teams, and I just find it baffling that clubs haven't sorted these things out, But on this, I mean, I'm done with Werner, right? Completely done. Johnson, I've warmed to, and
before you move on, Adrian,
I'm not
a few of you in the chat, and certainly some names that are new on me.
Yeah, we got 17 viewers, which is good.
Can you hit the like button? Please hit the like button, and also. I hate that expression. And also, can you subscribe to the channel? That really gives the channel a help and a boost and a lift. So those of you that are new, that are new or haven't done it already, please could you hit the like and the subscribe button? Thank you. Go on, Adrian. Sorry, I interrupted.
Well, I'm gonna, and while Ian's talking, we have got a big show for you this Tuesday. Ian's hosting. I'll be on. Tom's welcome to come on because he's a fellow admin as well. But so there's me, Ian, and Sean Butler. Going to be discussing the whole gambit of Spurs finances, naming rights, financial fair play.
It's not going to be a Levy out show. This is going to be particularly Sean and I purely from a business point of view, looking at the ownership of the club and looking at what the options are and what the options aren't. I mean, so it's not a Levy in, it's not a Levy out. It's gonna be an objective discussion on what the options might be, and particularly the name Staveley keeps coming up time and again. What can she offer? What can't she offer? Who does she represent? Do the people she represents, are they the kind of people we want to run the club and own the club? What about other options, American options and what have you? What's the valuation? We're going to deal with all of that stuff, all of it.
Right. I'm going to move on to transfer rumours. Right. I've got 2 banners, but
thank you.
Right.
Go on.
Well done, Tim. Right. So there's only one odd one here I'm talking about because I've done this mainly country. So Torek Mitchell, we know, is at Crystal Palace and his contract's running down. You've got 6 players in Italy that smell of Paratici. To me, they do anyway, right?
I was going to say, looks like
everyone knows I like this kid.
Restaurant.
Yeah. The Fratesi leaks have been picking up in social media. I mean, it might mean absolutely nothing, but we know that Inter Milan are keen to sell. You've got Douglas Luiz and Faglioli. They're both at Juve. Looks like Juve wouldn't mind dispensing with Douglas Luiz. So we see him at Villa. Got a good defensive role there. Then you've got I'm not sure where Thomas Christensen is, but he's in Italy. We know Tomori from his Chelsea days. So, Tom, you interested in any of these guys?
If I was to pick from those now of players who I think would come in and improve us instantly, I would go with Dorgu, Douglas Luiz, and Tomori. Tyreek Mitchell, it's a difficult one with him. I think he's a solid player, but that's it. I don't think he's a needle mover for us. Like, he can cover centre back, he can cover left back. He's not particularly attacking. He's not massively great on the ball. He's kind of more of your defender in terms of like left back and stuff. Fratesi is, I don't know. Fratesi just like literally reminds me of Bentancur, like the way he plays, although maybe a bit more physical. And with a better, maybe a better eye for goal, and you know, can ping passes. He doesn't often play like the defensive midfielder role, but he has played it from what I've been sort of researching.
It's a strange one with him because he was at Sassuolo, if that's how you pronounce that club's name, and highly rated. I mean, really, really hyped up. And then he goes to Milan, and have they changed the coach or something, really, or something like that? I don't know.
They went for a few changes. I can't remember who he signed for, but obviously they're Inzaghi at the moment, aren't they? It's their manager. So, so yeah, a little bit. But the thing is, Fratesi, he literally starts every single game for the Italian national side. So he's clearly got something about him. It'd be, I wouldn't be disappointed if we signed Fratesi, but it just feels like we're signing another player who is not quite a 6, but more of an 8. And then we've got so many players who can play the number 8 position. Douglas Luiz, I think, again, he's a bit more of an 8. We think of him as a defensive midfielder, but he's more of an 8, but he can play that defensive midfield thing. He's good on the ball, very quick passing. You know, he can receive it on a half turn. He's got an eye for goal as well, and he knows the Premier League. So again, that one just seems like a no-brainer for me, especially even if it's just like a loan for 6 months. I think that would.
Well, as Ian Fagioli at Juve, it just tells me that like Juve need money to fund transfers and whatever. I mean, there's a lot of clubs trying to do these deals now, like buy now but pay in 2026. I mean, there's a lot of that happening as well.
Fagioli is just a big no from me. He's no, not for me. And
who's a no for you, Tom?
Fagioli.
He's 23. He's young.
Yeah, he's an attacking midfielder for Juventus, but he's not good, not that great. Well, he's all right, but he's not not a needle mover. Yeah. Christensen, the centre back, absolutely not. He is absolutely awful. He's not awful, but again, he's a bit like Dragusin. He's terrible with the ball at his feet. He's just like a defender. Like that's not going to suit our thing. Tomori, I think, would be very, very good for us for numerous reasons. One, he's fast. He's pretty good on the ball. He's good in the air. And he's English and helps with that quota of stuff as well. However, AC Milan have just changed their manager, and he did actually play in the final the other day. He started the final the other day. So whether or not now actually he's a bit more, that's kind of gone very quiet. So whether that's off the cards now and he's got a new lease of life under the manager there. And also he might be joined by his friend Carl Walker as well. So
yeah. Ian, any of these you like?
Yeah, I've gone back to something again I've said. I did read that the principle of the club that they were not going to sign anybody that would bring that would block the path to the first team of any of the young players that they've got. So I think that's one of those things I think we need to bear in mind. And also in that context, where do we need long-term strengthening that we don't have the strength in? So, for example, I'm looking at Gray and Bergvall being starters in the midfield, if not this season, then next, being actually first choice starters. So how many midfielders on top of that? I mean, I put the
5.
the comment of our audio artisan. Yeah, I think Cardoza's in the second page of eight.
Yeah, well, I'll come to it on the next page.
He's on there, so we'll come back.
Because that's France, so they're the links in France.
So I won't ruin that now. I do like the boy Mitchell. I've always liked him when he's played for Crystal Palace. I think he would play the advancing, whether wide fullback or inverted fullback really well. But Tom makes a really valid point. Is he the needle mover? Is he the game changer? Is he the player that says we've got real strength in depth? Because what you've got to get to is a situation where it doesn't matter which three play, whether it's, for example, Bergvall, Sarr, and Gray, or if it's Bentancur, Bissouma, and Cordoba, or whatever. Whoever plays and whoever rotates doesn't make any difference to the strength of the side. That's the real key. So, does Mitchell do that? I hear where you're coming from on it, Tom. Probably have to see him in a Tottenham shirt rather than a Palace shirt to see.
I was just going to say, Ian, I don't think we would even be talking about Tyreek Mitchell if he didn't only have 6 months left on his contract. That's me. Like, he wouldn't be someone if he had 2 years left on his contract, we wouldn't even be linked with him. We wouldn't even be talking about him. It's purely because he's got 6 months left on his contract that we're being linked with him. And don't get me wrong, there are some very, very smart pickups that we could be doing with players that have got 6 months left on their contract. I'm just not sure that he is one of them.
Yeah,
I would, if I'm only taking one from here, I haven't seen, I don't watch too much of other clubs, to be honest. I'll watch videos of players when we're linked with them. I'll go and with them, and then I'll pump them out to you guys and all the links I've got to WhatsApps and Facebook and XCOM and all that. I like Dorgu. I know it'd mean bringing another 20-year-old. He's actually played on the right wing for Lecce. He's played on the left wing. He's played left midfield. He's played left wing. He's played left back. I mean, he is a talent, right? And I would take him because I think left back is one position we need to fill. We don't know what's happening with Ben Davis, right? So the others, we're stacked in midfield at the moment, and I don't think there's a great urgency unless there was a good deal to be done, because the Mamiani link was only an opportunist link when PSG announced that they want rid of him and Skriniar, who we'll come to. And so then Spurs have gone, right, they've gone out and James has gone, get me him, right? So obviously...
Can I come back in just on the point that I wanted to make? Is we've got this lad Vuskovic coming in, and a bit like Mikey Moore, everybody that knows him. I know he got sent off yesterday and had to be hauled back from getting himself into even more trouble. But everybody says he's the most exceptional centre half for his age. And he's one that I would think they would want to play. So if we've got, maybe they'll let Davis go, but if we've got Van der Ven and we've got Romero and we've got Vuskovic, you've still got in the squad Phillips, you've still got Dorrington if they're going to make it. So how many centre halves do we actually want? If that's it, if you've got Vuskovic, Van der Ven, Romero, and you've still got Davis, Dorrington, and Phillips, you don't have room unless at least one or two of them go.
If it wasn't for the fact that Vuskovic is 18 on the 24th of February, so I doubt he can be registered with us, I would take him now. In each league he's gone and he's stepped up. Watch videos of him. He scored an overhead kick that any striker would have been proud of in them games. He's got 6 goals in 20 appearances. That's not bad for a centre-back. And 17. When you look at Dorrington, Ash Phillips is the tallest at 6'4". Vuskovic is just a little over 6'3", and Dorrington's 6'3". These kids must be put in a grow bag and stuck in a greenhouse when they're young, But they're good, they are good. Yeah, so Dorgu for me, we're well stacked. We've got 7 midfielders if you're playing Decky there as well. Sarr, Bissouma, Bentancur, and Sarr, Bissouma, Bentancur, Madison, Decky, Gray, Bergvall, 7.
Yeah.
You know.
You know full well that I think Tom mentioned earlier with, you know, the signings of Odebear, the signing of Kinski. There will be signings that we make, or a signing that we make, that will be completely under the radar.
Left field again. Odegaard was.
I mean, which is a
Kinski
great way
was.
to do business, I think.
Yeah. Let's move to France. These
Yeah,
are all French in French league.
Yeah.
Cardoso's, is he at Lille?
No, he's Cardoso's Real Betis, isn't he? But
Real Betis.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry, I got this one wrong then, yeah. Moani at PSG, Skriniar at PSG, Gomez at Lille with Jonathan David, I think. So them two are there. There's starting to be a bit of a link more with Jonathan David. I think it's because the press can't make their mind up over what's happening with Moani. So, Tom, any of these?
I genuinely would take every single one of those players.
Okay.
And this is what I mean about smart pickups on 6-month deals, like David and Gomez. Like Gomez, he's slight. He's not a big guy by any. I think he's like 5'4" or 5'5". He's not a big guy in any way, shape, but he's so good on the ball. And he's a player who can like pick that clever ball in between the centre back and full back for someone to run onto and stuff. I'd happily take him. I'd have every single one of those players. Every single one of those players improves us, if not just in the starting 11, the squad as a general. Obviously, to get those in, we've got to ship some out, but we've got some that are going to be leaving anyway.
Yeah. I mean, on that, Ian, the reason I would take Skriniar on a loan to buy, it's not because I know that would crowd our centre-backs up, but as Tom alluded to, right, Davis could be let go in the summer, and Romero's down to the last 2 years in his contract. And if he don't sign one in the summer, sell him. And then if Skriniar was a loan to buy, and I bet they're talking about him with PSG and Moani. I bet they're trying to do a deal for both.
I'd be astonished if they weren't. Yeah.
So I would get Skriniar in, because if he's loaned to buy and he can cover his wages, right? One, you can use him for the rest of the season and rest Romero or whatever it is. And if Romero and Davis do go, you've got an experienced centre back in this club. And he's a good centre back, isn't he? He's a beast.
I think there's a lot to be said for that, and I'm probably looking at those names and saying, yeah. I mean, the Cardoso, that's the guy at Betis. The deal we've got with him is that I think we can buy him for £25 million or 25 million euros. But that's part of the deal with letting Lo Celso go relatively cheaply. That if another club comes in with a higher bid, we're able to match it or let him go. But I did the maths, and we apparently, if they don't sell to us, we get 35% of any sale that they make to another club.
Only Levy could get a deal like that.
Which I think is so creative. Which means that they need to sell to another club for 40 million euros before they're actually getting more for the club, more for the player than they would be getting from us. And if they do that, then we're getting 13 or 40 million free euros. It's a fabulous deal. But he's also meant to be a baller. So I got no problem. Moani I really like. And I think, today showed us, if anything today showed us, was that we have no strength in depth up front. And at the end of the day, Ange's game is where people are critical of him, but his game is dependent upon having possession of the football and turning it into goals. That's what Ange ball is about. And he hasn't got the players at the moment that are going to score enough goals to make that whole thing work. So if we were to get even Moani and David, I don't know, Moani and another, I think that would give us a lot of strength. That would give us enormous
David's
strength.
A funny one. I didn't rate him when I watched him a season ago. He's kicked on this year. He's got a lot of goals and assists.
Yeah.
The Canadian fans, they're not that. They've seen him play at international level. They're not that overly impressed with Jonathan David. I'm not either.
He's honestly, he's kind of a player that like sort of.
Guys, I need a 5-minute break, so I'll come back.
Okay.
Yeah. David is sort of a player that seems to like fail the eye test a little bit. Like nothing about him seems special, and then you look at his numbers, and he's like averaging more than a goal a game. It's just he just seems to know how to find the back of the net, and I don't think he would come in as a player to replace Solanke by any stretch of the imagination, but having a player who knows how to score a goal sitting on the bench to come on and rotate with would just be like phenomenal to have. Whether or not you can get him and Mawani, I doubt it. I imagine it will be David or Mawani, but I would like us to get both and move Richarlison on. That being said, Richarlison, he's apparently put in a lot of work and effort to get himself back fit and improve his muscle condition so he doesn't keep getting these reoccurring injuries, and we'll see how he is when he comes back. But
he's got to smash it second half of the season to stay, as far as I'm concerned. Like I'd like Skriniar and Mawani out of these. Johnny Cardoso, he's a good, energetic, brave player. Watch videos of him. He's technically good. He's up and down. He's box to box. He could do the CDM. But like I say, we're well stocked in midfield. This isn't a January signing. Not when we need a defender and a striker. And we might need to get 2 more in, or we might get 3 in the midfielder as well. I think we could get a deal over. I think we're not coming back from France without Skriniar and Mawani. I don't think we're going to get one or both of them. I just think we will. But like, let's just to clarify that a bit. The reason I say this, like the loan market rules, you're allowed 6 loans in the Premier League, a maximum of 4 foreign players, and a maximum of 2 homegrown. We have an issue with the foreign players because we're too short on the Europa League squad anyway, because we haven't got 4 academy trained players that have been with the club for 3 years, unless they've passed that limit now. And even then, I don't know if you're allowed to squeeze extra ones in it once the Europa Cup competition started at the beginning of the season. I don't know. It seems unlikely. I'm just like,
I think you can register a whole different team for the second half of the competition, can't you? So once the group stage is done, then it's all league stage, I should say now. Then you can register a whole different team. So, but yeah, I don't know if any of the youngsters qualify for the age to be.
The interesting thing with the youngsters and the B list is you have to be an academy trained player. More complex rules, right? You have to be an academy trained player for 2 years to make the B list, and you can have as many on the B list as you want, as long as they've done the 2 years. This is why Graham Bergvall couldn't go on the B list.
Yeah.
Because they were bought in, right? So, which I'm really pleased they were, right? So that's the low market rules. I mean, like, we'll see if it's a Jonathan David. There was also rumours that Spurs were in Portugal watching Gyökeres, or how do you pronounce his name again, for Sporting, the guy that was at Coventry and flopped, and then went. Didn't he go?
I mean, he's a great player.
Coventry at,
He was at. Who was he at? I think he was at. I want to say he was at
Bournemouth and Coventry. He was at Coventry for a while.
Yeah, he was at Coventry, and he did quite well for Coventry. And I think it might have been Bournemouth. I don't know why I've got Fulham in my head. I don't think it's Fulham, but yeah, it was at a Premier League team.
Bournemouth. It wasn't Brentford, so I'm pretty. Yeah, I think it was. And then
I think it was Brentford. I think it was Brentford. Give me 2 seconds and I'll find out.
Yeah, just check it.
He was definitely at a Premier League team.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, he's insane. I mean, he scored 62 goals in all competitions, club and country last year. I mean, that's just insanity numbers. I know obviously he's playing in the Portuguese league, but lots of players. Brighton. I knew it was a B. Yeah, it was Brighton, loan. Yeah, Coventry. Yeah. So,
I'm like,
thank you, Audio.
Yeah, I'm like you. I mean, I like Gomez as a player. Sorry,
I like Gomez as a player, but I think it's got to be Gomez. You would only be getting Gomez in if you're getting rid of Basuma. Like they're very similar players.
I just think that he's got a nice long range passing on him, and he's got good vision, and he passes quickly. He doesn't hang about on the ball a lot. I mean, like, doesn't dwell too much. And I just think we've got that in Bergvall. I really do, because he's got a long range passing in him as well, and he's quick and he drives forwards and he's got the physical presence. So I know Gomez is again coming to the end of his contract, but no, not for me. David, if we don't get Moani, why not? But like I said earlier, I think if we just brought one or two in to fix a left back and a striker issue with the wingers we've got coming, they could transform us. It could transform us. I think on the right, you could rest Son like you suggested earlier, and then perhaps you could play Johnson in some games. If Solanke needs a rest, you could play him through the middle or more in the inside right position. I mean, like you'd have loads of options. I know a lot of fans keep going on, oh, well, play a 5-5. I'm not a fan of the 5 at the back system. I like 4-4-3, 4-2-3-1.
I don't mind a 5 at the back. I mean, the way that we used to play it on the Poch was fine, because it was a 5 at the back or a 3 at the back that became a 4 at the back. It had fluidity about it. So I think it is fine. I think we've just been scarred by the last few managers that have tried to play 5 at the back for us that have just been more.
But our results have been absolutely mental. I mean, not to get 6 points against Leicester and Newcastle at home, another 3 points against Brighton, and then we go and lose some home games. And yet recently, we thrashed Villa at home. We beat Man United twice. We beat Man City twice, and we beat Liverpool. And we're 12th in the Premier League. The maths just don't add up. You know what I mean? Like, we should be doing. But the injuries have played their part, and it is a fact that players run about 10 kilometres more than they did back in the day.
It's growing pains as well. Like we're not a finished product, and at the end of the day, like again, Nap said it earlier. You have to, if you're building a style, a philosophy of what you want to achieve as a team, then you've got to play how you want to play, not how your squad innate allows you to play. So we could sink to our lowest common denominator and try and get the best out of what we've got, or we could just say, well, stuff it. I'm going to play. Well, we're going to play how we want to play, and over time we will get the players in who can enable us to play it. But there's no point with Ange at the moment going, okay, right, I don't have the players to play how I want, so I'm going to reel it in and we're going to play like this, and then when we get the players in, then we'll change it all again. No, stick with what you're doing, stick with your guns and how you're playing, and get the players
that you want, and don't panic bar bring anyone in like we've done in the past, like you've said, and we've just brought someone like a Joe Roden or a Jack Clark. I mean, at least Ange has been specific on that, and he said, look, I don't want to bring someone in just for the sake of bringing them in. Just for making a number. And that's the way it'd be. Right, a couple little points to talk about. Ian, the draw, right? FA Cup.
Yeah, difficult, but it's the FA Cup. Look, I'm comforted, and when is the next round of the FA Cup? When's it played?
February.
Beginning of February. It'll be just after the Liverpool semi-final. Game.
Yeah, that's Thursday. Thursday the 6th, I think, is the semi-final.
February,
Liverpool.
February the 10th, that sort of time.
Yeah, is something like that. Thursday 6th to the 8th. Yeah.
So it's one of those where February is going to be a big month with the. Depends if we've got a playoff in the Europa, but again, going to Anfield, going to Villa, that's going to sounds like 2 absolutely mega games in terms of our season.
They're mouth-watering. I mean, these are the games you want to be in because they show you've got a chance of winning silverware.
Absolutely, and particularly if we can get through Liverpool. I mean, I don't see any reason why we can't, although that's not to say it's going to be anything other than difficult. It depends a lot what's going on in their world as well, and how highly they value the League Cup. Who did they get in the FA Cup? They're away at Plymouth or somewhere. Is that right?
Plymouth. Yeah,
that's not an easy game for them. So it depends on what they prioritise.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we always seem to forget that the rivals we're about to play or playing cup competitions have also got a heavy list of fixtures, so
absolutely.
And will they rotate if they're in Europe and all that? So
Villa not easy, but we have of all the clubs, you know, particularly the clubs that are doing well. We have as good a record against them as anybody. So
I remember Poch had to win there to save his job. Remember when Kane got that deflected free kick when it come off the wall or something,
absolutely.
and Poch's job was on the line. We get beaten there, but we usually like it's one of, you know, I should imagine it's, you know, we get beaten there, but we win there as well. It's not a place we're going to go. We're not going to go there. We're not going to show any fear to them. That's for sure.
Well, I'm hoping we've got players back and we've got a couple of reinforcements. So we could easily have, for example, 5 players available that weren't available today.
Well, I'm pretty sure that VDV, Romero and Davis, even though we had little of him lately, they'll be fit before the semi-final against Liverpool. So yeah. Easily. I'm not so sure about you, Doggy or Odebert. They got much more, right? But
no.
Yeah. Mind you, Doggy has had a poor season anyway compared to last. So, yeah, what do you think on this Villa draw?
I mean, to be honest, when I was watching the draw, all I could see was the number 8 ball, Man City, and I was like, please, just not again. Don't want to play them again. So I was quite relieved when we didn't get City, but we never get an easy run to the final. So, you know, you've got to play the best teams. And actually, maybe it's better that we could have had an easier team and we end up with another performance like we put in today against Tamworth. So maybe we're better off playing a more...
In one way, you could say it's a free hit because it's a tough away game.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if we lose it, it's not like it's not going to be an upset if we lose. You know, it's one of those games where if Villa win, then they won. They were the better team. Spurs win, then they were the better team. It's not. But I wonder if actually just playing a better team is better for us. It's annoying that it's away from home, another away cup game. Keeps seeming to get drawn away in stuff. But it's a good game. They're a team that we've smashed the last few times we played them, and they're the team that can beat us as well. So it could have been worse.
We'll end with a little discussion about this. We got Arsenal Wednesday. I might go into the game a bit more in depth tomorrow. All depends how the show goes with Sean.
Oh yeah, it depends on how long we're talking about the thing. But,
about things. But just briefly, I mean, like Arsenal lost. And when's the last time they won?
Well, I think it was
3 games
before Saka got injured, and I think there's the significance of the different mentalities at the clubs, because all of a sudden Saka gets injured, and they suddenly they drew at Brighton. I think the results drew at Brighton, lost to Newcastle. Lost to Manchester United. All right, you can say they drew with Man United because they only lost on penalties. But bottom line is I think they're going out of the Carabao. I can't see them winning 3-0 or whatever, 4-1 at Newcastle. They're out of the FA Cup, and Jesus has got injured as well. So, I tell you what, Arteta could be one defeat away on Wednesday from being under real pressure. Real pressure. Because, I mean, we talk about money. He's had quite a lot of money to spend. And
750 million to be precise.
Well, that's quite a lot of money.
Andrew's had a net spend of 245 million.
Closer to winning a trophy. In fact, come Wednesday, they might be significantly further away from winning a trophy than we are. Significantly.
Tom, all the pressure's on Arsenal in this game. 3 games without a win. All the pressure's on them. I mean, not many would expect us to go there and get something. Although last year we got a 2-2 draw and they couldn't score a goal in open play. They got a penalty and a deflection. And but all the pressure's on them, isn't it? It's really on them.
Yeah, yes, but it's a North London derby. Like the pressure's on both sides. We all want to win. I would say clearly we are favouring cups over the league this year. So a loss isn't the end of the world, but a win would just be a win. Gets us one win closer to safety. No, I'm joking. We're not in a relegation battle, but you know, at least the pressure is on them. They're coming off of several, you know, not great results for them. Their season, you know, could again be not going the way that they want it. I've also reading or looking at some bits and pieces. Arsenal are actually currently classified as high risk to be breaching PSR rules, which is something that's kind of gone under the radar a little bit.
I haven't seen that.
It will be, I'm pretty sure it'll be announced tomorrow who is going to be failing PSR or I think it's tomorrow. And the teams, well, Chelsea's at a severe risk, but they've probably got another hotel they can sell to themselves. Arsenal,
that hasn't been passed yet, the hotel.
Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Everton, and there's another team as well that are classified as high risk. Could be Newcastle, which is just bizarre. But yeah, they're all at potentially high risk of breaching PSR rules. And I mean, actually, when you look at Arsenal, they haven't really sold any players. They've spent all this money under Arteta, and they haven't actually really sold anyone for massive profits and stuff as well. I know they sold Emil Smith-Rowe and Nketiah in the summer for sort of 25, 30 million each and stuff, which is fine. But when you've spent 110 million on Declan Rice, it's not really going to cover it. But I mean, there's a lot of pressure on Arsenal, but there is pressure on us as well. We need to get back to some sort of winning ways in the league. You know, it's been a long time since really we've put on a good winning run. To have 3 wins in a row would be useful. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure on them, and I think not only did Jesus go down with injury, I think Timber went down with an injury as well. So, but I was looking somewhere apparently, somewhere that Arteta's just measuring the diameter of the football at the moment to see if it's going to be the right size. But
well, the only other 2 league games we've got in January, Everton away and Leicester at home, because we've got Hoffenheim and Elfsberg to play as well. So it'll be looking better as soon as we get players back. Right, guys, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, I think.
And we'll meet in the back room. We just want to go through Ian's show Tuesday.
Yeah, please,
again, Sean Butler discussing everything to do with Spurs finances. And for those of you watching, viewers, thanks for viewing us. If you like our content, we pride ourselves on bringing you quality fact-based content. If you like our content and our shows, please give the videos a thumbs up, post a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And with that, all I can thank my 2 co-hosts here, and we will play you out with this.